Mimi, thank you so much for joining us for our first Consultants Corner Talk. We're excited to kick off the series to offer high-impact tips and practical advice on some of the key issues that we're finding compliance teams grappling with. We know you'll be joining us for exam preparation session at the Compliance Consortium this December, and you're going to be hosting your own fireside chat at your own private luncheon about how to survive a regulatory exam. To kick off the discussion, could you tell us a little bit more about what you see happening in the marketplace?
Sure. We're seeing a significant focus being placed on how firms have implemented various technology solutions, especially in the last year with their shift to a remote working environment. A lot of firms still haven't brought everybody back. And then you've got other firms that have worked under an independent model for many years that have been in a remote working environment for their entire existence. But that being said, with the pandemic and so many firms shifting to a remote environment, it's really helped the regulators focus in on how are firms supervising these activities? What type of systems are they using to supervise, for example, their sales teams? And what type of systems or technology solutions are the sales teams using to meet with their clients virtually, or to conduct client events or webinars or things of that nature. So we're seeing a significant focus on that, as well as the internal controls that have been set up around those systems. And some of the challenges firms are facing is trying to figure out exactly what systems their registered folks are really using.
And with the pandemic continuing with the Delta variant, it seems like this is going to continue for a while longer.
I would agree with that. And again, we've been through a number of both FINRA and SEC exams over the last 18 months. And while it took the regulators about, I'd say, 3 to 4 months to really start seeing issues and problems, the focus has really been on the technology side and supervision and how the remote working environment has impacted the firms in both of those areas.
There are so many facets. It's no wonder why compliance teams are continuously fine-tuning best practices on this topic. In your experience, what are the top 3 things that firms need to do to be successful, and how does MGL help them?
The top 3 things I would say, the first one being, look at your policies and procedures. Your firm needs to make sure that your policies and procedures actually line up with how your firm operates its business. Involve each of the different areas or stakeholders within your firm as part of this process to review your procedures so that you don't miss anything. Compliance can't do it in a vacuum. The other thing that I would say is that compliance should conduct an inventory of each of the technology solutions your firm is using as part of its business. So survey your brokers, find out what they're using, how are they communicating virtually with their customers, and how are your supervisors meeting with the individuals that they're responsible for supervising to make sure that you're aware of what systems or how they're using these technology solutions to be able to monitor their individuals. And this is for not just broker dealers, but it's also for investment advisors. And one of the things that FINRA actually came out with a few years ago was a small firm cybersecurity checklist. And it's really a great tool to use for this type of an inventory. And again, it's not just for the broker dealers. It can easily be adapted to investment advisors as well, because it actually is business agnostic. It's really more identifying what are the different touch points that your firm has from a technology perspective, and then who has access and what are the policies. The other thing I would say is, to me, BasisCode is great because in your testing section or the section for tests, firms can easily set up, or we can work with our clients to set up different tests that will go through and document your review process of each of these areas. So this is really where MGL comes in, is we're really work hands-on with our clients to make sure that we understand their processes and practices. And as a full service consulting firm, we provide a wide range of compliance services to broker dealers and investment advisors. And included in that is developing specific policies or tools or tests or certifications and forms that will help them in administering their client compliance programs and documenting it from a regulatory standpoint. That's a big thing that firms we're seeing too, a challenge on is, when you get that first document request from a regulator, at that point, you need to be able to lay your hands on the documents responsive to that request, because from the minute you get the document request, the clock starts ticking. And so if you're having to scramble around and try and figure out, okay, what systems are our people using and what information is being stored in those systems and how are we monitoring that system, then it's too late. You need to do that up front.
One of the things that we have found is that people working from home, there's different risks associated with working in the living room and having information such as people's personal statements in a home office or in a public place in your house, and where you don't have the same controls that you would when you went into the office, and those procedures need to be maintained.
Absolutely. And what we've seen and what we recommended to our clients is that you actually set up policies relative to individuals working from home. And it's not just from a compliance perspective, but also from an HR perspective, because, obviously you want to make sure that they understand about securing their computers and not allowing your company equipment to be utilized by other people. So you're not giving them access to confidential information relative either to your business or to your customers. And you want to make sure that any documents that they print out, that they're shredded or consistent with your policies, so they're not disposed of, for example, just in a trash can where they're open to anybody. So you need to make sure that your computers are either, you have a way of locking them down if you need to, or being able to monitor what's happening on those computers as well. Because one of the things the regulators are very focused on in this remote working environment too, is what other activities are the registered individuals involved in that their firm may not be aware of. For example, undisclosed outside business activities, or which could create conflicts of interest, or just create incorrect books and records and liability for the firm.
In general, what kind of enforcement actions are you seeing that people should be aware of?
From a technology perspective, one of the key issues, and one of the reasons why I'm very focused on what systems, and the regulators are very focused on what systems firms are using in a remote working environment, is a great example. A couple of years ago, the state of Massachusetts brought an enforcement action against an investment advisor because one of its branch offices was using a different CRM system than what the home office was using. And ultimately, when that branch office left and was no longer associated with the advisor with their client data. So at that point, they had a privacy breach. They had lost control of the firm's books and records relative to that branch. And then they had technology governance issues because they had no access to be able to control the access to their clients' data. So the tag along with that is always deficient supervisory procedures. Failure to supervise that aspect of your firm's business. I mean, there's any number of things that can domino off of an action like that. So it's very important for firms to understand, are they using Salesforce or are they using Redtail? Is one office using one type of a system, whereas another office is using a different? Or is Fred Smith, who's working from home, all of a sudden using a constant contact or something else that in his marketing to his clients that the firm's not aware of? So that's why I'm really saying, dig in and talk to your reps. Find out too, one of the things I've always done is I like to talk to college students and teenagers. I want to know what systems they're using to communicate with their friends to get around mom and dad, because those are the areas that you really need to focus on. And that's how you find out what are some of the systems that your reps might be using that you weren't aware of in communicating with your clients. For example, WhatsApp or Snapchat or Instagram or any of these types of things are also tools that reps may be using to communicate with their client. And that's a problem for the firm if they're not aware of it, because it creates a books and records violation. It violates the firm's internal electronic communications policies. And they're required to capture it. So there's any number of problems. And then again, deficient procedures are always thrown in on top of that. So it's really important that firms focus on the technology side and their policies and procedures related to that, and training. You want to make sure your reps understand why it's important. And so provide training for them, and so that they understand what are the risks if they engage in this activity outside of what your firm's policies and procedures are, and what their personal risk is, not just the risk to the firm, but their personal risk as well.
Mimi, this has been thought-provoking. We appreciate you as a partner and taking the time to join us today. And we know that your insights will have gotten us, our viewers, thinking. We know that this will make for a very spirited discussion at the Compliance Consortium in December. And we look forward to seeing you there. Could you please tell us a little bit more about your firm, your team, and yourself?
Thank you, Carlos, for having me here today. I really appreciate it, and looking forward to the consortium in December. To give you a little bit about my background, I originally founded MGL Consulting in 1984. I've been in the securities industry for roughly 40 years, and I hold a variety of FINRA registrations, including 7, 24, 27, 53, 79, 99, 22, and 39. I've held a variety of positions with broker dealers, whether it's president, chief compliance officer, financial and operations principal. And I currently serve as a small firm representative on FINRA's Southeast Regional Committee. This is my second term. I also serve as a member of SMARSH's Client Advisory Board. And our firm has roughly 15 associates, including a number of attorneys that are connected with us. And our staff is comprised of experienced CCOs and former regulators. The collective experience, if you put everybody together, it's in excess of 400 years. Our senior consultants on average have more than 30 years in the business. So a lot of depth there on experience. Our firm's practice covers the entire United States as well as internationally. And we work with both broker dealers, investment advisors, as well as commodities firms. We provide a variety of services to our clients, not just registration, but also compliance and financial reporting, continuing education. We do a lot of compliance audits. We also do litigation support and enforcement work. So we differentiate ourselves really from other firms that provide compliance services by the fact that we're very hands-on. We don't just hand you the rope. We're actually there shoulder to shoulder pulling on it with you. So if that gives you a little bit better feel for who we are.